Imagine stepping into a world where the rhythmic pounding of machinery never ceases, where factory lights blaze day and night, and where the heartbeat of industry is no longer set by the pace of human hands, but by the logic of algorithms and the tireless arms of robots. Picture an environment where production lines transform in mere minutes, not days or weeks, because artificial intelligence can predict consumer demand, reorder supply chains, and optimize every single screw, bolt, and circuit. Now, take a moment to realize, this is not a vision reserved for the far-off future, nor is it the stuff of speculative fiction. This world is materializing right now, and its epicenter is China, a country rewriting the rules of global industry before our very eyes. Welcome to the dawn of a new industrial era, a time defined not by who can manufacture the cheapest, but by who can wield the smartest machines and systems with the greatest agility. The global stage is shifting. CEOs from New York to Berlin are watching with a mix of awe and anxiety, because China's pace of transformation is not just fast, it is breathtakingly relentless. Let's rewind the clock to understand how we arrived at this pivotal moment. In the latter decades of the 20th century, China's rise as the workshop of the world was fueled by its vast, low-cost workforce. Multinational corporations flooded into cities like Shenzhen and Guangzhou, drawn by the promise of inexpensive labor, minimal regulation, and an insatiable appetite for foreign investment. For decades, the formula worked. China became synonymous with affordable goods, from electronics to textiles, its factories humming with activity 24 hours a day. But progress brings its own challenges. As Chinese workers demanded higher wages and other nations, from Vietnam to Bangladesh, began to offer similar manufacturing advantages, China found itself at a crossroads. Would it cling to its role as the world's low-cost factory, or would it transform itself into the architect of tomorrow's technologies? The answer came in the form of a sweeping national strategy, Made in China 2025. This initiative, launched by the central government, marked a turning point. No longer content to assemble products designed elsewhere, China set its sights on mastering advanced manufacturing. Robotics, artificial intelligence, and industrial automation would be the new engines of growth. The ambition was clear: become a global leader, not only in manufacturing output, but in innovation, technology, and efficiency. And the numbers are nothing short of staggering. In the year 2024 alone, China invested an estimated $40 billion in artificial intelligence research and development. Much of this funding was channeled into robotics, smart logistics, and the digital backbone that powers the new industrial age. To put these investments into perspective, this is a sum greater than the total annual gross domestic product of many small nations, all directed toward a single, relentless goal: technological supremacy. The results are already visible on the shop floor. By 2026, it is projected that the density of robots in Chinese factories will reach 500 units for every 10,000 human workers, a figure that puts China at the very forefront of industrial automation globally. Just last year, China boasted 470 robots per 10,000 employees, a level of automation that has overtaken longtime leaders like Germany, South Korea, and Japan in several high-tech sectors. But it is not just the public sector driving this transformation. China's tech giants are pouring colossal resources into the race for automated supremacy. Consider Alibaba, the e-commerce titan, which has pledged $15 billion to build artificial intelligence-driven logistics networks. These systems use algorithms to forecast delivery bottlenecks, reroute packages in real time, and slash costs. Or look at Huawei, which, despite facing export bans from the United States and its allies, is developing its own artificial intelligence chips to rival American firms like NVIDIA. In the city of Shenzhen, local authorities are rolling out tax breaks and regulatory sandboxes to entice yet more startups to join the artificial intelligence revolution. The government is not just encouraging this change, it is accelerating it. Factories that implement artificial intelligence and automation can receive subsidies covering up to 30% of their investment costs, along with generous tax incentives. This state-guided approach is building what Dr. Song from Tsinghua University calls a unique ecosystem for artificial intelligence-driven innovation. The result is an industrial landscape where experimentation is encouraged, scale-up is rapid, and the lessons from each pilot project are spread across entire industries at lightning speed. Kai-Fu Lee, the influential founder of Sinovation Ventures and a leading voice on artificial intelligence, puts it succinctly: China's edge lies in its ability to deploy artificial intelligence at scale, thanks to strong government backing and an ocean of real-time data. In contrast to more fragmented approaches in the West, China's model is characterized by central coordination, massive resource mobilization, and a culture that prizes speed and adaptability above all. Let's dig deeper into the numbers to fully appreciate the scale of this transformation. China currently holds more than 190,000 effective robot-related patents, nearly two-thirds of the world's total. In the past year alone, Chinese companies filed tens of thousands of new patents in fields ranging from machine vision to autonomous assembly. The country's share of global artificial intelligence patents reached 65% as of 2024, signaling not just quantity, but a growing sophistication in homegrown innovation. And the wave of automation is not limited to manufacturing. China's artificial intelligence healthcare market is expected to reach $16 billion by 2028 and nearly $19 billion by the following year. In logistics, advanced large language models such as DeepSeek's 671 billion parameter system are optimizing everything from warehouse layout to international shipping routes, squeezing ever more efficiency from every link in the chain. As a result, entire industries are being transformed. Nowhere is this more evident than in electric vehicles. China's electric vehicle sales are on track to overtake traditional internal combustion engine cars within just a few years. A milestone fueled by hyper-efficient, artificial intelligence-powered production lines that can pivot overnight to changing consumer preferences. Chinese brands are now exporting electric vehicles to Europe, South America, and beyond, undercutting rivals on both price and quality. This industrial revolution is not taking place in a vacuum. It is reverberating through global supply chains and boardrooms. Companies from Detroit to Dusseldorf are scrambling to adapt, as the cost and speed advantages of China's new model threaten to render older, less automated plants obsolete. As Rainer Strack of the Boston Consulting Group notes, artificial intelligence and automation are reshaping global value chains, and China is leading the way in integrating these technologies into manufacturing. But with great transformation comes great disruption. For all its promise, China's artificial intelligence-driven model is not without risk. According to projections, as many as 278 million Chinese jobs could be displaced by automation by the middle of this century. This wave of job losses will hit low-income and less educated workers the hardest, potentially fueling social unrest and widening the already significant gap between urban and rural regions. The impact is not confined within China's borders. In Washington, United States Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has sounded the alarm, arguing that China's unbalanced economy, characterized by overcapacity, heavy subsidies, and aggressive export strategies, is distorting global trade. American officials warn of a flood of underpriced Chinese goods threatening domestic manufacturers, while European leaders, such as Jörg Wuttke of the European Union Chamber of Commerce in China, caution that European firms are struggling to keep pace with the sheer speed and scale of China's artificial intelligence rollout. Meanwhile, the ripple effects are being felt in other corners of the world. For example, in Southeast Asia, countries that once benefited from labor-intensive manufacturing are now facing stiff competition from Chinese factories that can outproduce them using machines rather than people. In Africa, policymakers are watching closely, weighing whether to emulate China's state-guided approach or seek their own paths to industrialization. Let's consider the potential consequences in more detail. If current trends continue, China is poised to dominate not just in manufacturing output, but in setting the standards for how the world produces everything from consumer electronics to advanced medical devices. The artificial intelligence market in China alone is projected to soar to nearly $700 billion by the year 2035, growing at a compound annual rate of over 31% from 2025 onwards. The China industrial process automation market is on track to reach $18 billion by 2030, signaling further leaps in efficiency and productivity. Yet, these advances come at a price. As automation spreads, the risk of job displacement grows, not just in China, but worldwide. The World Economic Forum estimates that more than 90% of organizations in China see artificial intelligence and robotics as essential to their future competitiveness. In the United States, nearly 70% of workers believe robots can help manufacturers cope with labor shortages, but there is a growing anxiety about what happens when machines do the work of millions. As a result, the world is entering a new era of competition, one that is not just economic, but geopolitical. The race for artificial intelligence dominance is rapidly becoming a race to shape the very foundations of the global order. If China's model becomes the dominant standard, other countries may have no choice but to follow suit, triggering a cascade of investments in automation and technology that could redraw the map of global industry. Yet the story is far from over. The United States, Europe, and other advanced economies are not out of the race. In fact, the very pressure exerted by China's rapid advances may spur a new wave of innovation and industrial policy in the West. Experts like Wendy Cutler of the Asia Society Policy Institute stress that comprehensive industrial strategies are no longer optional. They are a matter of survival. This could mean increased investment in artificial intelligence research, more aggressive public-private partnerships, and a renewed focus on retraining workers for the jobs of tomorrow. Consider the words of Patrick Schwarzkopf, a member of the Automatical Advisory Board. Driven by technological innovations, industrial robotics is becoming more accessible to companies than ever before. In other words, the tools that China is using to transform its economy are increasingly available to the rest of the world. The question is whether others will act fast enough to catch up. To illustrate what is at stake, let's explore 3 possible scenarios for the future of global industry. In the first scenario, China's model becomes the global gold standard. Factories around the world run nearly around the clock, with minimal human oversight, producing everything from smartphones to solar panels at record speed and at ever lower costs. In this world, nations that fail to keep up risk being left behind, their industries hollowed out, and their workers displaced. In a second scenario, the United States, Europe, and other economies rise to the challenge. By learning from China's playbook, investing aggressively in artificial intelligence and robotics, forging strategic partnerships between government and industry, and reimagining education and workforce training, they narrow the innovation gap. This sparks a new era of competition, where breakthroughs in technology fuel job creation in fields we have yet to imagine, and where economic power is more evenly distributed among nations. A third, more troubling scenario is one of escalating geopolitical tension. As countries race to outdo one another in artificial intelligence and automation, cooperation gives way to rivalry. The risk of a race to the bottom grows as nations compete to lower standards, cut costs, and out-subsidize one another. Without international cooperation on rules and ethical standards, the dangers of unchecked artificial intelligence, ranging from mass unemployment to digital surveillance and loss of privacy, become ever more acute. So what does all this mean for you, our viewers? First, knowledge is power. Understanding the scale and speed of change, such as China investing $40 billion in artificial intelligence in a single year, or holding nearly 2/3 of all robot patents globally, helps you grasp why every industry, every job market, and every country is being reshaped in real time. If you are a business leader, the lesson is unmistakable. Adapt or risk extinction. Automation is no longer a buzzword. It is the baseline for survival in this new era. Companies that fail to embrace artificial intelligence and robotics will struggle to keep up, regardless of their size or history. For policymakers, the call to action is even sharper. Strategic, long-term planning is no longer a luxury. It is a necessity. Governments need to offer subsidies, tax breaks, and robust education programs to support artificial intelligence and automation. The nations that move quickly to foster innovation, support research, and retrain workers will be those that thrive in the decades ahead. For everyday workers, the message is both sobering and empowering. Upskilling, learning new skills, especially in technology and data analysis, will be the key to navigating the coming waves of change. Flexibility, adaptability, and a willingness to embrace new roles will be the hallmarks of future career success. Here's a crucial truth many overlook. China's advantage is not just technological prowess. It is a culture of relentless experimentation and optimization, where successes are scaled nationwide at extraordinary speed. Combine that with state-guided investment, vast pools of real-time data, and a massive domestic market, and you have a formula that is difficult to match. Yet history shows that no industrial model is invincible. The United States and Europe possess deep reserves of talent, capital, and creativity. They have led previous industrial revolutions and continue to set standards in research and innovation. The question is, will they act boldly and quickly enough to seize the opportunities of artificial intelligence and automation? Or will inertia and complacency leave them trailing behind? If this deep dive into the forces reshaping our world has sparked your curiosity, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest analyses on global economics and technology. What do you think? Will the world follow China's lead? Or is a new challenger preparing to take the stage? Share your thoughts.